Okay, so let's go over the Form Health Canada 3011. Okay, I'm going to explain to you each and every of the boxes that you need to complete. Okay, this is the form related to the drug submission application form, and we can use this form for human, veterinary, or disinfectant drugs, and for clinical trial applications and attestations. So this form again, in the first here, we are going to decide which study we are going to choose. So we are here for the human studies. And the type of the submission that we have here, it should be, of course, it doesn't show off here, but it should be CTA, Clinical Trial Application. Now, for the number of original volumes and compatibles and duplicates, this is in case an investigator would like to send this form by, again, a package or by post. If not, usually this form is already even, it's done, it's completed online, and we don't use the number of original volumes. But still, it stayed here because investigators can still in Canada send their clinical trial application to Health Canada, not through the CTD format. Now the schedule, of course, here we write down the again the drug, or I would say for the schedule, and then here we have to write down the brand or proprietary or product name. So if the product name has a brand name, we write it down. If not, the generic name is here, and of course we also have the format, which is a buccal spray. Then for the proper common or proprietary name, this is the same for this product, so we just write it here. Now, for the company code, if you don't have a code yet, you just leave it blank. Usually the first time that a company is going to interact with Health Canada is going to assign a company code to that company, so that you're always going to use this code when corresponding with Health Canada. Now, another question is, does the product fall under the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act? So here, this is if, again, the drug is controlled. So if this is, again, something which is a controlled substance, we write down here. And then we are going to continue with the manufacturing and sponsors mailing address. So here, we need to write down the, again, the company name, the address, the city, the country, the province, etc. Now, we also need to have, again, to put the information related to the manufacturer or sponsor contact. Now here, the sponsor is the company that is paying for this clinical trial, since you are dealing with this clinical trial. What does it mean? It means that if we have a company, just a pharmaceutical company that is going to manage or to do a study, the company is the sponsor, because the company is going to pay for the clinical trial. However, if the company pays a lump sum to an investigator or a medical doctor, and the investigator is going now to complete this form and to do all of the regulatory activities from the investigator's side, the sponsor for us is now the investigator. So the sponsor is the person or the company that is running all of the activities. It has the budget for do the work for the study, and that sponsor is going to correspond with Health Canada directly. Now, of course, if you are having an exercise, a mock, I would say, or a training exercise, what you can do is just to write a hypothetical name or address, because the aim of the exercises is also always to, again, train students in order to complete these forms that are a little bit complex. Okay, so now we went over the sponsor's contact. We can also have the contact of the manufacturer, and here we can write the name of the CEO, for example. In this case, all of the correspondences will be forwarded to the CEO. In the majority of cases, we write the name of the VP of Regulatory Affairs, and all of the correspondences from Health Canada will be directed to the VP of Regulatory Affairs. Again, if this is for a mock or a training submission, students are encouraged, of course, or asked to write hypothetical names and addresses and phone numbers so that they will complete a form. We don't put, I would say, for any mock submission, we don't put real names. But obviously, when you are going to work in a company, you are going to have the exact names and emails, address, and contact information. Now, continuing with the form 3011, we have the company name and address. So here again, we write down the company name. If this is the same, we're going to click on this checkbox or check this box. If not, we are going to write the name of the company and of course the city, etc. Now the contact is the person who is completing this form. So this is a regulatory affairs staff or specialist. So here we are going to write down again the person who is the regulatory affairs specialist who is completing this form to send, of course, to submit to Health Canada with the clinical trial application or again NDS package. So this is again, if we don't have it, if this is an exercise, we're going to write down a hypothetical, again, name like this one, and then we just continue with the next sections. Now, the next sections is the regulatory mailing address because Health Canada needs to know where they are going to send their correspondences. That's because not everything is going to be done by email. For example, the non-objection letter or the notice of compliance are still being sent by Post Canada or by post, and they are again real paper. They're being sent by real paper. So here again, if this is the same company as above, we just check this box. If again, if you have any regulatory mailing address, we write it here. If not, we just write, we click here, not applicable. Then if we are, again, having a company that is importing any clinical supply, or if they are importing any, I would say, drug from other countries, Health Canada also needs to have access to the mailing address of that Canadian importer, because those Canadian importers, they also need to have a drug establishment license. So here we are going to write down again how many importers are here, and then we are going to write down the company name. Again, for if this is for an exercise, we can always write hypothetical names and addresses. But if this is in a real case, in this case, we are going to write down the full address of the Canadian importer. Now, the next section is, of course, to address to which the drug notification or notice of compliance will be sent. This is because once we are, again, we are having our drug approved, or if this is for a clinical trial application, for example, Health Canada needs to know to which entity it has to send any notification. And this is why you can always click to which address you would like all of the regulatory, I would say, notifications will be sent. So here you click on any of those. Then if this is for a third-party submission, here this is for, again, if we are having, again, a third party. So if you are having a contractor outside of your company that is making this CTA or this new drug submission on behalf of your company. So here we're going to write down if this is going to be, again, a submission signed or filled by a third party. So here, of course, it doesn't display, but this is yes or no. Then the next section is related to the submissions. So here we are going to see again, for example, a type of submission. So here again, this form, which is again coming from Health Canada website, is not working, but you do have a drop-down list, and the drop-down list is going to tell you if it's a CTA, if it's a drug master file, if this is a submission, if this is a new drug submission, if this is supplementary or an abbreviated new drug submission, etc. You have several submissions here. And again, if you are doing a new drug submission, you have to check NDS, new drug submission. If you are, again, submitting the 3011 form for a clinical trial application, you're going to choose here CTA. And then for data cleared, okay, we have the control number, the file number. If you don't have them, you can leave them blank, because we will, or Health Canada is going to give you those information as well. And then the DIN number. The DIN number, or the drug identification number, is a number that is given by Health Canada to any drug that is going to be registered in Canada. So if we are having a drug that is under experimentation, we need to have a clinical trial application prepared for that. And we don't have, we may not have a DIN number. In this case, we leave this blank. However, you may have an already marketed drug for an indication which is approved and it is on the market. Now you may want to test an already approved drug for indication A, but this time you would like to test this drug for indication B. In this case, if your drug is already on the market, it has a DIN number. And for all of the investigations, if you are dealing with a CTA here, with all of the investigations that are investigating the safety and efficacy of a drug in a new indication, in this case, we are going to write the DIN number of the drug, which, because it's already on the market but not yet approved for the indication for which we are testing the drug, and we are, of course, making this clinical trial application file. Then you have another very important, after all, of course, important sections, but this one is also very important. This is about the part 2, drug product formulation information. Here, the information that is here is usually, I mean, is always confidential. However, we can always find what is the active pharmaceutical ingredient that we are going to write down in this section. And of course, we know about the package. We can also, we know from the product monograph of the product that what is its shelf life. We also know what are the medicinal and non-medicinal ingredients. So for this product, for example, we have the information. So we write down here the medicinal ingredient, okay, which is this ingredient. We can find a standard in the in product monograph of that product. The strength and of course the units are all already again available. We also have in any product excipients or non-medicinal ingredients. In this case, we are going to write down in this form, again in section 56, all of the non-medicinal ingredients. How we can find these non-medicinal ingredients? Usually they are in the investigator's brochure, but if, for example, we are using this form for an already marketed drug, in this case, this information is also public, and we can find that in the product monograph. If not, if we have the same formulations of the same product in the US, we can ultimately go to DailyMed website that is maintained by NIH and FDA, and look into the product label. So again, I would like to put the emphasis on the fact that these, sections 56 and 57 are important, and they must be completed if at least with the ingredient's name and the standards. Now, the strength for the drug is usually, again, shared, but the excipients, we may not necessarily find the strength, but we can always see the, the ingredient's name. Perfect. Then if we are having any animal or human source materials, we will need to use section number 58. And here, we're of course going to, we can add a material, and then we are going to write down what is the material, again, the source, if there's any calculations for the base, etc. Then, of course, here, for example, the dosage form, again, the form that Health Canada has on the website doesn't show this, but this is a dosage form that can be entered also manually. By the way, this is a PDF document, and PDF documents, again, can be edited by Adobe Acrobat editors. Usually when we are submitting these forms, we will need to, of course, edit this PDF and then to write down all of the information necessary to complete this form. Now, the therapeutic pharmacological classification, this can be found on Health Canada. So we will need to go to Health Canada, search for therapeutic pharmacological classification, and then to look into what is the pharmacological classification for the animal or sourced or human sourced material. Then we can again continue with drug product formulation information. So the proposed shelf life as well, we write this down. This information is coming from the product monograph as well as the package size. So we can also have this information that we add into this form. Now we can of course continue to add again more part two. Here part two, because the part two drug submission is for giving a DIN number. When we are having a drug, we may have two formulations. We may have a 2 milligram tablets and 4 milligram tablets. In this case, Health Canada is asking us to prepare two part two drug product formulation information section. So if we have two formulations, we need to have two of these parts. So one is going to be, again, the ingredients, excipients, the dosage, and the second part two will be the second formulation. So for example, if we have a formulation for 2 milligram tablets, we are going to complete part two drug product formulation information for the 2 milligram tablets, including the pharmaceutical ingredients and the excipients. And then we are going to repeat again, rewrite that part two drug product formulation information, but with the 4 milligram API or active pharmaceutical ingredient, and we add again the excipients for the 4 milligram tablet. And when we are going to have DIN numbers, we are going to have now two DIN numbers because each formulation is going to have one unique DIN number. This is why we need to complete this. Okay, so we already went over the part two. You see again, you have the part two formulation in case we need to go over that. And then let us continue with this, okay. An animal again, same thing. If we have again other part two. Now, when we are going to continue with the form, we have to write down about the route of administration. Again, here, if it's subcutaneous, if it's again intramuscular, intraosseous, etc. So we write that down here as well. And then we write here in section again, or question 64, if this is a pharmaceutical, or if this is a biological, a disinfectant, or this is a combination product. So it's a drug and a medical device. And in this case, we are going to check this box. If not, this is an error, of course, in our submission. Then we are going to go to question number 65 of the form 3011 when we are looking into the drug use. So is it for humans? Is it for adults, pediatric? Is it radiopharmaceutical? Is it for a veterinary, again, a product? Is it a disinfectant or none of those? And then it's a biotechnology product, for example. And then number 66 is this a non-prescription drug which one or more Schedule A claims apply? So here we are talking about, again, a request in order to switch to an over-the-counter, um, a product. And then this is the proposed indication. Use, again, this indication can also be found on the product monograph of a product if it's already marketed in the Canadian market. And then the proposed dosage as well, this can be found in the product monograph of this product. Then we have to go over the species and subtype recommended for use. If there is no, again, no information, we just leave this information, again, I would say empty. Don't forget that when we talk about veterinary products, we are talking about food producing animals. So here, when we click check here, if that's a veterinary product, we also have to check here. Now, at the end of this form, we will need to complete the, again, section 73, and of course, the name of the authorized signing official. Now, for the official, signing official, you can now write the name of, it can now be a CEO of the company. It can be the vice president of the company, or it can be, again, for example, an associate. Okay, so it can be anyone, but we have to write down the name of authorized signing officials. Okay, so I hope that you could learn about this presentation and on how to complete the form 3011. That is again being used for drug submission applications forms for the human, veterinary or disinfectant drugs, and for clinical trial applications in Canada.
So
Thank
for type of submission, we are choosing